Thanks, Tina. Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about something called angiogenesis. It's not a heavy topic. It just sounds like a heavy word. But when you understand what angiogenesis is, you can relate it to every single condition, whether it's a cancer, whether it's diabetes, whether it's something as simple or complicated as your hair falling. Like, let's talk about hair fall. Today, if you have hair fall, the first thing you do is you spend a lot of money on shampoos and creams and all of these things, or you look at your vitamins, and that's all good. Maybe you should. But the main underlying reason why you have hair fall is because of something called angiogenesis, which means the blood vessels that are supposed to supply oxygen and nutrients to your hair follicles for your hair growth aren't working the right way. The same thing with diabetes. When we have uncontrolled diabetes, why do they say today diabetes leads to chronic kidney disease, heart failure, and even cancers? It's because when we have uncontrolled blood sugar levels, what's going to happen is the blood sugar levels basically affect the blood vessels, the inner lining of the blood vessels, compromising how the blood vessels function. So let's understand exactly what angiogenesis is. First, I want to start off with something as simple as cancer. All of us have cancer cells within us. In fact, I'm going to read something out to you. In autopsy studies on individuals who have never ever received a diagnosis of cancer in their lifetime because they don't have symptoms and their blood reports are absolutely fine. Almost 40% of the women between the age of 40 and 50 have microscopic tumors and cancer cells in their breasts. And about 50% of the men in between the age group of 50 and 60 have microscopic cancer cells in their prostate. And almost 100% of people over the age of 70, they have microscopic cancer cells in their thyroid glands, little tumors. So what does this mean? It's not caused the problem. It's not become a cancer. You don't have symptoms. Your doctors have said everything is good, but you still have cancer cells and tumors in these parts of your body, showing us that we all have it. But what is stopping it from becoming a full-blown tumor? What is stopping these cancer cells that we have, you and I have, from becoming a full-fledged cancer? It is the process called angiogenesis. What angiogenesis simply means is the process that the body uses to grow blood vessels and to maintain them. Okay, the human body is a beautiful example of angiogenesis. We are made of angiogenesis, right? From the time let's start from conception to make it more easy for you to understand. Okay, so when the sperm and the egg meet, okay, if they get fertilized, okay, they get implanted in the womb. Your womb in a woman's body already starts forming irrespective. But every month, if you don't get pregnant, if there is no egg that's fertilized and gets implanted, okay, the womb is made out of your endometrial lining. It gets slaughtered during your menstruation cycle, okay? That's what happens. Every woman, every girl goes through their period cycle normally. Now, if you did get pregnant, the womb will continue to grow and you don't get your period cycle knowing that you're possibly pregnant. Okay, so angiogenesis starts from the time, let's say the egg and the sperm, they join, they meet each other in the womb, they get implanted and fertilized. The moment that happens, angiogenesis happens. There are millions of little blood vessels that start nurturing this fertilized egg. And then very, very soon, eight weeks later, what's going to happen is there's the placenta that's going to grow to connect the mother to the fetus, so that the mother can now transfer oxygen and nutrients to the fetus, which then grows into the little baby, and the little baby into the little child, which is then born. That is angiogenesis. All of that are blood vessels, millions of blood vessels that are working together to form us. So whether it's your eye, your kidney, your heart, your liver, your little finger, these are all formed by a process of blood vessels growing together. Okay, so the blood vessels grow to form a healthy kidney, and then the blood vessels stop growing. They have to stop growing. Once the kidney is grown, once the liver is grown, once the eye is complete, once every organ in your body is complete. Okay, that is angiogenesis. Okay, the process by which the body builds new blood vessels and also controls them. Now, what happens if these blood vessels abnormally grow and they don't stop growing when they're supposed to grow? So we grow, angiogenesis grows, and it stops. It's done its job. But sometimes because of changes in our DNA, sometimes because of problems in our stem cells, sometimes because of problems with our immune system or problems in our microbiome, what happens is there are several cell divisions or mutations that happen, leading to abnormal growth. So we all know cancer cells are abnormal growth, basically. So angiogenesis is healthy in a body where it grows blood vessels when we need it and stops it when it's not needed. That is perfect angiogenesis. It is connected with every single disease that you have in your body, including obesity. Now just picture this, a body at a particular weight and a height, okay, you're supposed to have a weight which is healthy. Now, if that weight moves into overweight, you have so many new fat cells. These fat cells, to survive, they need a supply of oxygen and nutrients. Where does that come from? Your blood vessels. Your blood vessels are responsible for transferring oxygen from the air that you breathe and nutrients from the food that you eat to all of your cells. So now, if I am supposed to maintain my weight at 75 kilos, example, but I'm now 100 kilos, I have a lot more fat on my body. Okay, angiogenesis gets complicated because angiogenesis has to grow more blood vessels to feed more fat cells. Now, this is technically abnormal. Your body will handle it to the best of its ability because that's what survival is. Your body adapts. It adapts to the weight that we put on. But when you start having obesity-related problems, or for example, let's take a case of endometriosis, where your endometrial lining grows abnormally, and you get heavy periods, a lot of bleeding, sometimes endometrial cancers because there's excess estrogen, which is feeding the growth of your endometrial linings. That is abnormal growth, again, powered by angiogenesis. Angiogenesis gone wrong. So we need to understand that most of us who have cancer cells, it will never, ever become a problem. Microscopic tumors will never become a problem unless they start to get a supply of oxygen and food through a blood vessel that now starts to abnormally feed them. That is angiogenesis gone wrong. That is over angiogenesis, and every single cancer is connected with over angiogenesis. These small microscopic cancer cells, because of its correction, mutation, a change in DNA, hijacked a perfectly healthy blood vessel and has now started robbing food and oxygen, which is supposed to go to your healthy cells, but it is now also feeding your cancer cells. And that's how they start to spread. And that's how the tumors start to grow bigger and bigger. This is the simplest understanding of angiogenesis. Okay, so we can have over angiogenesis where your blood vessels start abnormally growing, okay, very, very quickly, like in Alzheimer's, like in Parkinson's, abnormal blood vessels seen in your MRIs of your brain. Okay, this means that there is something wrong with the process of angiogenesis. So in short, angiogenesis is a defense mechanism in your body to protect you and also to help you to recover. Now let's take an example of a blockage in a heart. Okay, there are blockages in hearts happening to almost everyone. Today you're healthy, you're fit, you're a runner, you go check, you may have a 10% or a 20%. Not a problem at all. Everything else is absolutely fine. And when there is a blockage, there are new blood vessels that your heart grows to continue supply. That is the beauty and the intelligence of the human body. And that is why some people can find a 99% blockage and they're still walking around and absolutely with no issues and they're not lying dead on a table. That's because their heart, through angiogenesis, has learned to develop a new system of blood vessels. You still got to correct the blockage, but if you can see your body's defense mechanism working to protect you. Now, if angiogenesis isn't working the right way, that 80% blockage can kill you in a heart attack or a cardiac arrest. So that is exactly what angiogenesis is. Now, that's over angiogenesis. What happens when we have angiogenesis, which is not healthy, which means your blood vessels have lost the intelligence to grow the right way and at the right time? So we see that in alopecia, okay, where your blood vessels are unable to form healthy blood vessels to supply oxygen and food to your hair follicles. Another case is diabetes, wound healing, when your wounds are not healing, especially diabetics. Why? Because your cells are so damaged, the endothelial linings of your cells, your blood vessels are so damaged that blood and oxygen cannot even reach certain nerves in your body. So you're left with something called peripheral neuropathy, where your nerves actually start dying. And that's why you have numbness, and that's why you have tingling sensations. Can this be reversed? In most cases, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes, when you change your diet and the way you live. So you see, angiogenesis is a natural system that exists. It is either suppressed because of our poor lifestyle and the wrong eating habits, or when we make changes in our dietary habits and our lifestyle, we can resume angiogenesis to work the right way in our system. So let's take another example of macular degeneration of eye problems. Okay, that's when blood vessels start abnormally growing and they take away your vision and your sight in your eye. This is another example of overangiogenesis, where your blood vessels have lost the intelligence and the ability to stop growing. They're growing constantly. Like every single cancer is based on the fundamental of angiogenesis. So while you take your chemotherapy, while you take your radiation, you change your diet, that's all good for you. But please understand in your mind that something went wrong with angiogenesis. And now you've got to make the right changes in order to resume it so that it works for you. If you are only depending on chemotherapy, radiation, and medication to heal you, unfortunately, the healing is never going to happen. You will have symptomatic recovery, but you are never going to heal at a root cause level unless you reestablish angiogenesis working in your body. Let's take another example. Why do some people get nerve pain during chemotherapy and radiation, or their fingers start getting a little bit crooked? They get pain, they get neuropathy, again, because chemotherapy, unfortunately, in its honest attempt to kill the cancer, also destroys the blood vessels that supply blood and oxygen to your nerve endings. And that's why you have the effect of darkening of your skin, pigmentation, neuropathy, and everything else. Okay, this is all part of the treatment, but again, based on the fundamentals of angiogenesis. So now that you've understood angiogenesis, you can relate it to every single health problem that you have in your body. And while you do everything that you can, you need to way to support angiogenesis or anti-angiogenesis, depending on the case that you have. So let's understand a little more of angiogenesis. We have around 60,000 miles of blood vessels in a normal human body. 60,000 miles is a lot. That is the intelligence of beauty of the human body, which is why I tell people respect it. There is an intelligence in us that is working every second of the day and night. And yet human beings think they are over smart. They think that outside solutions can take away all the health problems in the world. They can help you, but they can never solve your problem if the intelligence in your own body is compromised. Something that can manage 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the human body has an intelligence that no man or science on this planet understands or has, which is why we put faith in our own human body. The same intelligence that gave birth to us is the same intelligence that can possibly heal us when we give it what it needs so that it can maintain and run its own intelligence. So let's say, for example, there are certain organs in the body, or let's talk about our muscles. Our muscles require constant supply of blood and oxygen. Likewise, your heart. So angiogenesis, you'll find most of your blood vessels in your muscles, in your heart, in your kidney, in your liver, because these are constantly working for you. They have a large requirement for oxygen and a large requirement for nutrients. Okay, so that's why you will find more concentrated blood vessels in all of these areas, including your eyes. Now, what happens if something goes wrong with the process of angiogenesis? It impacts every single organ in the human body. Or what if we're not breathing the right way and we have blood vessels that require oxygen, but they're not getting the right amount of oxygen? Which is why when you go into when you meet with an accident, the first thing they do is they put an oxygen mask on you, because they know that it's not just your brain that's going to die, but your blood vessels as well. Your blood vessels carry nutrients and oxygen to every single cell in the human body. Okay, so now let's talk about inflammation in the body. The more inflamed we get, the more corruption we have to angiogenesis. Remember the last time you fell, if you've ever fallen and a scab grows and you've pulled off the scab, what do you see below that scab? You see the process of angiogenesis, a white background and minute capillaries and blood vessels growing in front of your eyes. Today there are a few, tomorrow there are more, and then there are millions of them. That is angiogenesis happening. Okay, there's an issue. What triggers it off? Let's say today you fall down and you have a cut. There's a little bit of blood. Okay, because a little bit of blood leaked out of you, there's something called hypoxia, where there is a drop in your oxygen levels. The moment there's a drop in your oxygen levels, your immune system kicks in and starts the process of angiogenesis. So now all your blood vessels will form and start supplying blood to the area which is hurt. Once the process is over, okay, hypoxia ends and your immune system relaxes and inflammation relaxes again. But in most people today, we suffer from chronic inflammation, which means we create abnormal angiogenesis in the human body. And that is where all of our problems happen. So today, if you are living with diabetes, you're on heavy medication, but your parameters are fine, but you are not changing your lifestyle, you are still sick. You need to understand, I'm not saying jump off your medication, take it, but you have to change your lifestyle. to address the root cause if you want to correct the intelligences that exist in the human body. It's extremely important for you to understand that. So even when a woman is pregnant, if you don't eat the right foods, you're not supporting the right amount of blood vessel formation, which means you are either denying yourself of nutrition or the fetus. And today we know that the health of your child depends on the health of the mother while the fetus is in the womb. It's as simple as that. Good health for the child doesn't start from the time the child comes out of you. It starts from the moment the egg is implanted and fertilized through the process of angiogenesis, which is why it is so important for us to understand the importance of food and the importance of lifestyle when it comes to all of these things. So anyone going through cancer right now, or anyone going through issues of diabetes, chronic wounds that are not healing, alopecia, peptic ulcers in the system, hair fall, bad skin, whatever it is, you know that you need to work with the system of angiogenesis. That requires foods. I am going to share a list of foods with you after this. Okay, that framework of food is what you should be operating within if you have this. Now, the beauty of this is, because the confusion would be is, Luke, what if I have over angiogenesis? Okay, where my blood vessels are behaving abnormally. Will the same foods that promote healthy angiogenesis work? And what if I have less angiogenesis, like in diabetes, wound healing, alopecia? Will the same foods work? The beauty is yes, because in the human body, we have a baseline, and the same foods work at this baseline. So whether you need a diet and a lifestyle for excessive angiogenesis or insufficient angiogenesis, it's all the same. The body works in homeostasis. The body works with a baseline. So I am going to share that detailed list of foods that you should operate within. Coupled with those foods is the normal, which I'll repeat again: exercise at least 30 minutes a day, good quality sleep. Your blood vessels cannot grow if you are sleep deprived. So you can be eating all of the angiogenic rich foods or the anti-angiogenic foods, but if you are not sleeping well at night, it will not help. And your emotional wellness, again, the more stress you have, the more inflammation you have. The more inflammation you have, the more abnormalities you have in angiogenesis. Okay, so you'll see a lot of people sometimes as someone who's born with an extra finger. Yes, we say it's genetic, all of that, or whatever it is, but it involves angiogenesis. The extra finger or the extra toe or the abnormal growth that you have in your body couldn't have grown without the process of angiogenesis. So you see now when we look at our health and we look at all the problems we have, or we look at the insane amount of body fat that we carry, you need to know that right now your body may be supporting you, but you probably could be at the tipping point where you will move into abnormal growth of your blood vessels. Like I said, the body has an intelligence to support you at the right weight. If the weight becomes too much or even too little, if you go underweight because you're starving or you're on a fat diet, you also can upset the process of angiogenesis, which is why we tell people just live in balance. Do not go through extremes, because while you may go through an extreme to lose weight, gain weight, get a muscular body, you may tip the balance of one of the most intelligent defense mechanisms of the human body, which is angiogenesis. Now, let me read you a couple of diseases that are linked with excessive angiogenesis. So if you have any of these, or you know people who have this, you know that they have an issue where the intelligence in their body is not controlling the growth of blood vessels, and it can be corrected with food and lifestyle. So we have age-related macular degeneration, that's of the eyes, Alzheimer's, brain cancer, breast cancer, cervical, colorectal cancers, diabetes-related vision loss, endometriosis, kidney cancer, leukemia, liver cancer, like I said, all the cancers, lung cancer, lymphomas, multiple myelomas, obesity, inability to lose weight, complicated weight loss, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, psoriasis, eczemas, rheumatoid arthritis, and thyroid cancer. That is when you have excessive angiogenesis. Your body has lost its ability to control the growth of your blood vessels, which is something serious. Can it be corrected? Absolutely, yes. And that's when we talk about prevention. But even if someone's got the disease and you focus on angiogenesis, there's a huge chance of a great recovery. Now, let's talk about insufficient angiogenesis, where your blood vessels have lost the intelligence to even do its basic job of growing the right way, in the right place, at the right time. So we have alopecia, like I said. We have diabetic foot ulcers. We have erectile dysfunction. This is a huge topic because a lot of young guys and middle-aged men who have erectile dysfunction, it is because they also have diabetes, kidney problems, and everything that is related to insufficient angiogenesis. What causes an erection is blood flow to the penis, but that is angiogenesis. Blood flow happens through your blood vessels. If you have insufficient angiogenesis, you're unable to even get the basic blood flow to your penis, and that's why you have erectile dysfunction. No amount of herbs, no amount of Viagra, no amount of any of that stuff can give you a permanent solution unless you learn to work with angiogenesis. Okay, so that's another example of insufficient angiogenesis. We have ischemic heart disease, any cardiac disease, whether it's a stroke, whether it's a blockage, heart failure, insufficient angiogenesis. Anyone who's gone through a heart attack or a blockage, when you look at that person, you know, hey, this person's body has lost the intelligence to grow blood vessels. Can it be corrected? Absolutely, yes. Then we have neuropathy, we have peripheral arterial disease, which is heart disease. We have peripheral neuropathy, tingling sensations, numbness, waking up with cramps. We have pressure ulcers. We have venous leg ulcers. These are examples of insufficient angiogenesis. So you see, you can do what you want, but your life is not going to change, or your disease is not going to get better, or you are susceptible to everything I spoke about if you do not respect the human body and the process of angiogenesis. Today, I've spoken about one defense mechanism that you can use to help you with disease or help you with prevention. There are 4 more which we will talk about over the course of the next couple of weeks. We are going to talk about immunity. We're going to talk about the microbiome, which is immunity. We're going to talk about stem cell regeneration, how we can use stem cell regeneration through our own food and lifestyle. And we are going to talk about the health of your DNA, because remember, all problems happen in the body when your DNA, it's like a computer program. When it gets a virus, it performs the opposite functions or the wrong functions. So when your DNA gets corrupted in your cell, it can either tell your cell to actually mutate and abnormally grow, or it can also cause your cell to die. So it all comes down to the health of your DNA. And this is exactly what angiogenesis is. So now try to correlate it with everything. Okay, if you are still dependent on just a pill to solve your life problems, it's not going to work. It may treat you, it may give you relief, but you're still sick. You have to address the root cause of your problem. So I'm not going to talk about the foods right now. Everyone who attended this session today, it will be mailed to y'all. The list of foods, try to operate within that framework of foods. It works for both excessive angiogenesis or insufficient angiogenesis. Of course, if you have allergies, etc., disclaimer, don't do anything without your doctors knowing. So make an informed decision. We will send that mail across to you. I hope you understand this, because if you don't understand this, you're just going to be another victim to the healthcare industry. Get an ailment, get a symptom, get it treated, and you have a new ailment. Because guess what? If you don't handle angiogenesis, the one problem that you have today, because it's caused by poor angiogenesis, okay, is going to become the second problem, and the third, and the fourth, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10-year healing. Have a great evening, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.